It's 6 o'clock, so I'll open the meeting and welcome to the Lennox Select Board meeting, Wednesday, October 26th. It is now 6 o'clock. I don't have any immediate announcements from the chair, but I will accept a motion to accept the minutes of October 12th.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the minutes of the meeting of October 12th as written.
I'll second that.
Can I get a second? Oh, you did? All in favor?
Aye.
I abstain because I was not at the meeting.
Oh, you abstained, okay,
Yeah.
fine. Okay, citizens open forum. I see we have a crowd tonight, which is wonderful. But
That's later. You're later.
in lieu of the fact of fairness,
You're later.
we're gonna go about 2 minutes, maybe a little bit more than 2 minutes per person to bring up your suggestions. So I'm gonna start it off with Katie Minalti Vaughn, who is going to talk to us about the Fix-It Fair.
Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. Kate McNulty Vaughn, 10 Post Road. Ellen Jacobson and I have been doing this Fix-It Fair in town. This is the fall one. We do 2 a year, the spring one and the fall one. It is this weekend on Saturday from 1 to 4 p.m. at the community center. And we have people who can do mechanical and electrical and all sorts of household item fixes, and people who can help you out with some sewing things, you know, taking up things, letting out things, whatever that might be. Great group of volunteers who do all those things, amazingly talented. We have a lady who can actually fix small holes in sweaters so that they're invisible. So almost everyone has one of those. Not all of you should bring them, but we'll see what we get. We have a couple of stereo problems coming, and we have people who will look at those. In the past, we've done a lot of lamps. We have lamps coming, we know, this year. So lamps, vacuum cleaners, you name it. Please stop by with your item. As I say, we'll have quite a number of fixers on hand. We have coffee and cookies for people while they wait, while the fixes are taking place. So hope to see a good crowd of people who need a little assistance in the community with these things, and outside the community. Anyone is welcome. Have I left anything out? 1 to 4, Saturday, at the community center. And we generally have a sign outside.
We're going to approve the salmon for the time for you in a minute, but
Okay, thank you.
you're all set.
Thanks very much. I appreciate that.
Okay, so we'll take one at a time. Next, for citizens open forum. Sir, I guess we'll start in the front.
Use the microphone if you.
The microphone isn't for us, it's for people at home. Oh, okay. So you got to stand up. It won't hear you otherwise. So you got to give us your name, address.
Phil Gilardi, 14 Pine Knoll Road, Lennox. I'm concerned about the new bylaw for the cell towers. I've been to the last 3 meetings, and apparently the planning board is working their tails off to get this done, and they're trying to get it done, but they've been working on it for, some say, 2 years, and at this point in time, they haven't quite got it done. It was a 94-page document that was published in the Eagle. Now it's down to 21 pages, and they want to get it down to 10. And but they still don't know where they're going to put the cell towers, whether it's going to be residential zones, which residential zones. They don't know what the setback is going to be. And they don't do anything about safety. I mean, safety is not a topic for people. Now, I know that cell towers are large. They're not good looking. They could be 120, 300, up to 300 feet tall. And nobody wants them in their backyard or in their line of sight. And they're also talking about having distributed miniature cells, which are not miniature. They could be up to 50 feet high. And they could be on telephone poles right next to your house with as little as 50-foot setback. That scares me. Yeah, I mean, I like Lennox the way it is. There's the zoning, the present zoning says that you keep it in commercial zones or you keep it in industrial, and it's worked well. I asked the committee what was the impetus for going with the new law, and they said, well, some lawyer said that our present bylaw prevents total coverage of the area and that we had to change it. So what we're changing it to is something that makes it tremendously easy for them to put hidden on rooftops, on telephone poles, 50-foot, 150-foot antennas somewhere. And they're talking about 1A and 3A zoning and even residential zoning. So, I mean, it's a little bit scary. These people are working hard. They have a consultant that's very good. He answers a lot of questions. But when the planning board writes this very hard document, it's got to go to the zoning board for interpretation. And they're not going to have an expert there that can answer all the questions. It's going to be a real bear. I'm saying is we should stick with the existing bylaw because it protects people and it keeps the antennas out of the residential area. Now, when you put a transmitter, they call it an antenna, but it's a transmitter. You put it, you put it on a 35-foot pole next to somebody's house. You're going to be giving them a lot of radiation 24/7, 365 for the life of the person. That might not be good. Thanks.
Well, you're certainly welcome. Let's get something straight right off the bat. This is the select board. We have not seen the bylaw. We will see it, and we'll certainly talk about it. But it's going to be up to the town voters at the town meeting as to whether or not they accept it or not. They're a duly authorized or elected board by the town of Lenox, and we really don't. We're not able to interfere with what they're doing. We as private citizens like you can certainly voice our concerns, but as a select board, we will probably choose not to come down on them until we've actually seen it and it's ready to go to town meeting and we get it on a town meeting floor and we debate it like we always do.
Well, I agree. I mean, you got to have a 2/3 majority to accept it.
Yeah.
But it's a very detailed document, and there's not a lot of time between the November 17th. This is, I want to get it on the ballot. Now, I've been through 3 meetings.
Okay.
Sir?
Sir, just,
I apologize for interrupting you, but we're not, the public citizen open forum is not for us to engage back and forth dialogue.
we just want to hear what your concerns are, and we've heard yours.
We're happy to hear them. I do want to point out, Dave, that if the planning board brings a bylaw in front of us to add to the warrant, not only, as you correctly stated, does it have to be voted on at town meeting, but the planning board would have a public hearing. So the 2 places for people to voice opposition or endorsement or whatever their feelings are about it are the public hearing that the planning board will hold and at the town meeting. We're not in charge of telling the planning board what to do. You just need to make that clear.
Can I make a comment? They were going to go with 3 hybrid meetings, and then they were going to try to do a public meeting 2 days before the town meeting on the 17th, okay? And that's just not enough time to get the document out to the people so that they got the knowledge to ask the questions.
All right, let's see what we can do about that. You'd like to go next?
Sure.
All right,
Thank you.
come on up.
Hello, my name is Dr. Andrew Silver. I just moved here. I love Lenox. My wife works for the Symphony, and I teach at MIT, so I'm an evidence-based education kind of person. So my concern is that the general public has not been given enough facts about what's happening around the world, because everybody around the world has dealt with this problem and has offered solutions, from Scandinavia to Japan to everywhere. And there are many places that are like Lenox. It seems to me that one of the things of a town and the town's library and the town's citizens is to educate all of us so we know what everybody else is doing, so we can judge on what the best practices are aside from the limited knowledge that we have in Lennox.
Hello, Sonia Bykowski, 225 Main Street, Lenox. I'm not going to talk about the cell tower. But that's your gift. I just wanted to, first of all, say I attended the Kennedy Park Committee meeting October 13th, and there was a very generous donation made of $50,000 to the park committee, and I hadn't seen anyone other than at that meeting, I hadn't seen anybody thank them for that. And there was a gentleman named Hans Fellman that passed away and donated, and I just wanted to say that's like amazing. And all he said was he wanted it to help sustain the park for future generations. So I thought he deserved kudos. All right. Second point, I did want to bring up again, I've been asking to come and talk to you on your agenda, if possible, about communications within the town to make sure that we're hitting things that we need to be. There's still some missing details, attachments, things like that from town notices, and not knowing when you get a notice who's sending it and who do you respond to, because you can't hit reply, things like that. I'd really like to work that out with you all and have some time to discuss that during a meeting at some point. I know right now you've got a special town meeting, so maybe after that would be great. And the third thing, I forwarded to you, I'm sure Mr. Ketchen has given you 3 proposed articles for the special town meeting, which essentially just my goal, and what I wanted to get your input for, because I don't have the signatures collected yet, because my goal is just to make sure that the criteria are in line, the requirements are in line with the special town meeting and the town meeting, which just means same quorum and same number of petition signatures. Right now, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Ketchen, because you know my math isn't always great, right now 5% of all the votes cast at the previous state election is 74 people that are necessary for a quorum for an annual town meeting. A special town meeting is only 1% of that. Would that not be 15? 15 people. It's about 1,481 was the last number for the, okay. So 15 people are all that is required right now with our current system to go to a special town meeting and vote on things like you mentioned, a lot of money being spent, bylaws. So my goal is just to talk to you about what the best way is to just bring that in line with annual town meeting, and also the number of signatures for the citizens petition. If the number is so much lower for a special town meeting, why can you get a citizens petition warrant with 10 articles put on at annual town meeting, but you need 100 signatures? More than that. You need 100 for special town meeting when the quorum's less. So I just want to bring those numbers in alignment with one another, and hopefully we can all just, I don't know the best way to legally do that, whether that's codifying more than one town meeting a year, but that's my goal. So I just wanted to discuss that with you hopefully tonight, how to accomplish that. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you politely, try not to have redundancy, okay? I mean, I understand why you're here, and I appreciate that. But we have a busy schedule tonight, so that if somebody else says exactly what you were going to say pretty much, let's let it go at that, okay? All right, next, who would like to come up and speak?
Amelia just left because she said they don't care about what I have to say. They don't want to hear it.
Really?
Yeah, she just did. So
Okay.
that's why she just left. And I have her open statements. My name is Courtney Gilardi. I'm at 980 East Street. Previously, I was at 17 Alma in Pittsfield, and I'd love to return. You guys all know the reason why I live in Lenox. It's to get away from the cell tower that made myself, my children, and my neighbors sick. That cell tower is 500 feet outside my door. At Planning Board, they still haven't decided on the setbacks that they'd like to have us all vote on the 17th, and I'm afraid it's not enough time. We, the people, are not asking for your interference, but we are asking for your help and your oversight as our town select board and our leaders. We are asking to see the whole package. The whole package has not been created, and it's still in discussion with major bits of that bylaw still at play. We have been asking for 16 months, as you have heard Amelia speak before and me, to have outside independent legal counsel review that wireless bylaw to make sure that what happened in Pittsfield, what happened in Centerville, what happened in Cape Cod, what happened in Sacramento, what happened in Colorado, and all the communities that are being sickened by this wireless infrastructure does not happen to our sweet town in Lenox that we love. We have asked the select board, we have asked the planning board if they would please consult with an outside attorney for 1 hour pro bono at no cost. And they have chosen to written and say, that is not the direction that we are taking. Is this the town that we're living in, that they can't even for free consult for 1 hour on something that has the ability to change the nature of our town? We have also asked, given the fact that outside industry consultants have now consulted for over 5 hours and are meeting with town council, KP Law, that if we could please have 30 minutes to do a presentation with our doctors, experts, legal authorities, who can tell them that their hands are not tied, who can give them the latest landscape because the litigation is changing. And they have said no, they don't want to hear from these people. And that upsets me as a town resident, that you guys would not want to hear this information to provide you with all the information to go ahead and make informed choices. And I'm very sad that Amelia does not feel like you guys care. I know you do, and I will tell her that. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Amy Judd, and I live in Lenox at the Curtis. And I just wanted to piggyback. This is going to be very quick. I was at the same meeting last night at the planning board, and they, one of the women on the board, and I'm not good with names, she was one who was sitting all the way to the right, and she said, because everybody, they were really starting to get ramped up and argue with each other a little bit. And she said, well, you know, there is no perfect bylaw. We're only doing the best we can with the information we have. But that is what Courtney just said. They're not taking the information. They're only taking the information from Maxon, who's giving them legal advice and medical advice. And he is neither a lawyer nor a doctor. We know 3 different lawyers who will give them an hour of free time. And we have medical experts who will also be happy to sit down. So, you know, we just can't stand to listen to them say things like, oh, we're doing the best we can, but they're not. So, okay, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else like to touch? Yeah, there's something else on. Why don't you hang in there for the meeting, maybe we'll discuss it a little later. Yes, come on up. Lady next to Sonia. You were waving?
I don't really have that much new to add because this is the second town board meeting I've ever come to, but I'm paying attention and I'm telling people that I know. And I feel that something this serious deserves to have all the information presented to anyone who really cares about this issue so that we can come to some kind of decisions that feel like they're communal, they're compromises, and that we get to it together and it's not just a board. So I hope that's not what we have, because I really don't know the members. This is the second meeting. But please know that this is a very important issue to many people, and it will continue to be. So thank you.
Well, thank you. You shouldn't feel upset about coming. We enjoy having you, and we enjoy listening to your opinion. We definitely do.
What's that?
Is there somebody else who wants to speak? Somebody outside out there?
Yes. Ma'am, excuse me, could you tell us your name and your address?
Excuse me, Jane Aiken, Lenox, of Lenox.
Okay.
Thank you. Is everybody that's going to speak spoke? Okay. Back there.
Hi, my name is Trilby Miller. I live at 6 Main Street. I was here at the meeting last night, which was a very exciting meeting. There was a lot said, a lot covered. I think I heard, and maybe some other people that were here last night can tell me if I heard it right, that the Planning Zoning Board said that they either should or must consult an independent expert attorney who's not telecom sent, and a scientist, doctor, before they could bring this to changing the bylaws. Did I hear that correctly or incorrectly? Was that not discussed about should and must?
Meeting last night, so
Oh.
just,
Well, I feel like we're covering the same thing, yeah. No, but what I'm saying is, does that not passed on to you guys? No? No?
We're not a party to the discussion until the bylaw is written by the planning board and then they present it at public hearing. That's the purview of the planning board. That's their responsibility.
Okay, that feels like what people keep asking for, and it seemed like they agreed to it, that's all.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I might be repeating myself. So the planning board's an elected body here in town, right? So there's 5 people on the planning board. Because they're an elected body, I mean, they have a directive as to what their purview is, and zoning is, and amendments to zoning bylaws that's their purview. The process to present a zoning bylaw to town is for the planning board to discuss it, consult experts, and by law, hold a public hearing to present their proposed bylaw. And then following that process, if they're satisfied with what they have and feel confident that it's going to be something that would be acceptable at town meeting, they would present it to the select board for inclusion in the town warrant. Because they're an elected body, yes, they work with us because the select board is who determines whether or not there's a special town meeting, when it is, et cetera. But we don't have any input as to the content of what they bring us. So I feel like I'm hearing a lot of commentary about what the planning board is or isn't doing right, and that's not something that, we're not their bosses. They're an elected body, so the comment is very valuable because you're making yourselves heard in a public forum and it's being recorded, and we appreciate that. We'll listen to anybody from anywhere because that's why we have Citizens Open Forum at our select board meetings, but we don't control the planning board or tell them what to or what not to write.
Okay, I appreciate that explanation because I'm hearing a lot of the same things that I heard last night, and I thought, yeah, but I understand more now. Thank you for the explanation.
in the back.
Hi, I'm Catherine Levin, and I don't live in Lenox. I work in Lenox. I also work in Sheffield. I'm vice president at the Scientific Alliance for Education. And we handle a lot of issues, be it with environmental, like Monsanto. We also, these days, handle a lot of the electromagnetic issues. So I have a vast amount of knowledge, and I'm good at educating, and would be happy to help the town understand more. I don't know if you're the right people, obviously, to talk to, but I think it is a global issue now, and there are great steps being taken in Poughkeepsie, in New York, all around. Philmont is now looking at changing their bylaws to protect the citizens, because there is a way where you can still allow the cells to service to increase so people can get coverage in places, yet not have the wavelength be harmful. You can actually have operational standards that can be utilized. So I just wanted to put that out, and I'm happy to talk to you.
That's good knowledge to have.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyone else want to speak? Can I ask a quick question? Gentleman out in the back?
I'm Scott Farrell. I live at 14 Old Stockbridge Road. And I've been wondering about this, and I seem to remember, like maybe 10 years ago, they ripped up Main Street to put cable in, and I think it was fiber optic cable. And I always wondered what happened to it. It didn't seem like it ever went anywhere or anybody did anything. And do you know if there's fiber optic cable under Main Street? That's,
I think there's probably a T1 line to the library and to the high school and to Morris, but that's all I know about, or have remembrance of.
so I was just wondering if is there a use for that, for what we're trying to deal with here? Or is there a possibility of going with a townwide Wi-Fi, that all the tourists that are complaining about not being able to get cell service could actually just use Wi-Fi calling if it was available throughout the town? So I'm not sure who would be in charge of trying to figure that out or not, but I just thought I'd put it out because I was curious. Yeah. Appreciate it. All right, thank you.
We're going to move along with the meeting now. We'll move on to the consent agenda.
Okay. So on the consent agenda this evening, we have a sandwich board sign request. Kate Vaughn is requesting a sandwich board announcing the Fix-It Fair that would be on the front lawn of the community center from October 22nd to the 29th. Since this meeting would not occur until October 26th, the town manager authorized the sign in advance of the board's action at tonight's meeting. There's a one-day wine and malt license being requested by Mark Lavasser for Saturday, December 3rd from 2 to 5 p.m. in the community center ballroom. A certified bartender will be present.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we're going to move along now to the general business special town meeting timetable and discussion. And Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, I've provided essentially the same table. Sorry to say that it looks the same as it did when we met on this weeks ago. I know that there's progress that needs to be made, particularly as it relates to financing plan for the wastewater treatment plant. I know there's more work that needs to be done, yeah, sure.
I don't want to steal your thunder.
No, that's okay. I think you know where I'm going with this.
I can tell where you're going. I talked to you. Yeah. The permanent building committee's meeting, the clock's gone, in a half an hour. Sure. And we're going to hear a lot more about the public safety building. We heard 10 days ago approximately, our best estimates on the wastewater treatment plant facility, but we have questions into the consultant, and we have some work to mull over, and certainly Chris had some family time and has not been able to spend as much time digging into the financing end of it and what the ask is going to be. And then, of course, what we heard tonight about not being ready. I'd like to suggest that we move the special town meeting back till after Thanksgiving.
I'm good with that.
I see no reason why not. It's 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah. Sounds like a good plan, especially given, all of the important information you're going to be getting at the Permanent Building Committee meeting later tonight. That's going to factor into a lot of the prep that we're going to need. And this will give the planning board another few weeks to iron out their bylaw and have their public hearing, and we should have a great deal more information.
Any downsides to it, Chris?
So that is where I was going with this. I have had a chance to do some more work on the financing plan for the treatment plant, and we'll be talking about that in other meetings. But the finance committee hasn't met on this. They're wanting to schedule for November 10th. They deserve proper time to vet a large financial proposal. Not one that they weren't aware was coming, but one that they'll want to take take an approach from the staff and evaluate and decide whether they want to recommend favorably or not. And that's, it's the largest capital project that the town has ever undertaken. The timing is admittedly unfortunate, given the delays we've had for, a multitude of reasons, least of which not being the delays that are attributable to my schedule. But that being said, I'm assured both from the Department of Revenue as well as the consultant that we're using to engineer and design the plant that a delay of 3 weeks to, I was going to say December 8th, but I'm sure we can talk about that. A delay of that nature will not in any way change the financing for the project. And by financing, I mean the sizable federal grant that we're looking to hopefully apply for and receive to help offset the direct costs of the town. So we can have more time to vet this through really 3 committees, right? The Permanent Building Committee, the Board of Selectmen, and the Finance Committee, town meeting itself. So I appreciate the board's indulgence. Sounds like you're generally agreeable to that.
Yep.
All right.
So you're thinking, am I reading this right? Thursday, the 8th?
I don't think that would change necessarily the timeframe for the tax classification hearing. The appropriations articles that you'll be considering, at least what's on the plan for now, won't affect the property tax rate. It's all from reserves or borrowing authorizations.
Yeah, it's about it's a little.
And that's
over 6
just my
weeks.
suggestion,
No.
but it's up to you.
That should solve a few problems.
Yeah.
All right. So that would be, 3 weeks later than what you were contemplating, I think. Hold on.
On the 17th, right?
Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah,
it's
that's
1,
3
2,
weeks.
yeah, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And wish I could have had more done sooner, but I think it's better to take the extra time.
Agree. Yeah, I think that sounds like a good plan of attack.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, and with it, in the tax classification hearing, you've talked to staff, and that can get done the way it should be done, right?
Yes.
It was important.
We have everything we need. I mean, if you wanted to add a taxable article to the warrant, which sounds like no one is inclined to do, then it would make a difference. But since no one is going to do that, then it's fine.
Gotcha.
Anybody else have anything? Thanks for all your hard work on the building committee. Greatly appreciated. We're down the home stretch now.
Yeah,
It is.
I hope so.
So staff will proceed on a timeline that changes it to December 8th?
Yes.
Okay, all right, and then.
Do we need to vote on that, or just?
No, well, you never voted on the 17th, so, we didn't get that far. Yeah, so but you'll want to call and then subsequently, have a functional warrant in front of you to edit or approve, which,
Right.
neither of which you have.
14 days prior.
14, yeah.
So, will you, or should we divvy up letting? Some of the PBC now knows. We should let Tom know on the planning board,
Yeah, I can.
various board
I have some-
chairs.
I finally have some meetings.
Kate's not here.
So what time is it
So
tonight?
we can
I'll
make
see
that
Tom
part of the
tonight.
discussion.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, if nobody else has anything, I'll just entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.